Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is a No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, after still recovering a little bit from that recent slightly depressing upload, I'm actually super excited to bring you some actual solid news about No Man's Sky. And no, for once this isn't clickbait, this isn't me manipulating it. Are you actually proud of me? Like there's stuff to cover now, it's ridiculous. But no, honestly, as you can tell, I'm excited. It's to do with Waking Titan, it's to do with a possible 1.5 update instead of 1.4. There's quite a lot to talk about here. I'm going to break it all down, I'm going to make it as simple to understand as possible, and I'll keep this intro short as shit because I know you're probably already wanting to sink your teeth into this info, so we're just going to jump straight into the deep end and have a look at the information we've been given. So please sit back and relax. Let's get started. So the basic gist of what has happened so far, before I get into the absolute fine details of what has happened, Waking Titan has essentially started up again. We have probably about 3 or 4 sources of information. There's the Waking Titan website itself, where there's a couple codes, a couple links, a lot of that stuff, and then we also have some external websites, and there's just a lot of stuff happening. But essentially the ARG has started again, and you can first see this on the Waking Titan website itself. Now on the website you can enter commands. Again, this was a big part of the pre 1.3 Waking Titan ARG, and if you enter the command who is, no spaces, into the little console, then it brings up the following message: what is 1.5. So obviously this isn't too much to go off, this is very basic information really, but the important part which people have picked out is the mention of 1.5, and this is because No Man's Sky updates are usually referred to as 1.1 for Foundation, 1.2 Pathfinder, 1.3 Atlas Rises, etc. So the next one in theory would be 1.4, but of course 1.5, implying it skips 1.4, is why it's causing a bit of confusion, but also excitement at what this could mean. First of all, before you get way too ahead of yourself, we are assuming that this reference to 1.5 is actually update 1.5, although this in theory could be anything. For now, if we just assume that 1.5 is referring to the 1.5 update for No Man's Sky, then the community on Discord came up with a fairly basic theory as to why this is and is not 1.4. So if this update were to bring significant change to No Man's Sky, which is implied since the ARG is starting up again, then Hello Games may choose to skip 1.4 and go straight into 1.5, like how Windows 8 went straight to 10 and skipped 9. This does make sense. After all, since the ARG is coming back, it implies the update is going to be on a similar scale as 1.3, which we all know was a very big update, and it would make sense to give it a name like 1.5 as opposed to 1.4. It makes it sound more interesting, and I suppose if it's a milestone, it makes things a bit easier to keep track of. But again, we are still assuming that 1.5 is referring to an update, and that is not 100% confirmed, but as of right now, that seems like the most plausible theory which we can pick out. So as well as this new command prompt, on Waking Titan, a new glyph has also opened up at the bottom of the page. Now this works exactly the same as it did before, where you click on it, it asks for an answer, you put an answer in, it grants you it, something happens, blah 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 blah. But at the moment, the answer itself is actually unknown, but the community is working hard to solve it with one big lead, which I will get to in a second. Now clicking on the icon to input an answer shows a photo in the background that reveals some more information. Now this is hard to see, but someone has made a transcript of it, it's pinned on Discord, so I managed to just nick it off there, and it says: "Dear Elizabeth, we have finished processing 10,000 passes as per your requirements. You should have them in time for the next phase. I really hope you will like the final product. Kind regards, Goal." Now this little memo, this little letter, whatever you want to call it, clearly signals that the information which we previously knew about the physical Atlas V4 passes is now very true. We are going to have these passes fairly soon, hopefully, and perhaps because they're coming at the same time Waking Titan is starting again, they somehow tie in to the ARG. It's also been signed by Gaul, and I mean, I don't know who that is. I know barely anything about the Waking Titan lore, so if anyone does know the deets, then just pop it in the comments. Essentially, we should have these physical Atlas passes with us soon, and again, because it comes at a bit of a convenient time when everything seems to be kicking off, the excitement seems to be coming back to the No Man's Sky community that all the passes were just to come at the same time. It's a little bit too convenient to not have some kind of significance, but I guess we can only see when they do finally come. So there's just two last bits of information which I want to touch on. Now, first of all, this one is to do with the glyph. Again, when you click on the symbol of the glyph, there is a little tiny icon of a globe right below where you input an answer. Now, if you were to click on this icon, it actually takes you to a Google Drive link with photos of users holding up the Atlas logo in mirrors. Now, if you remember, this was a part of the Waking Titan calibration process way before Atlas Rises dropped. It was a requirement for people to print out the logo and put it in. They used a sweaty name, but essentially a mirror that looks infinite. These photos are in the document, and people have been thinking maybe, you know, the amount of them equals something important, maybe what they show is important, but instead it's actually the names of all of the photos combined. They are named 2-digit names, so it might be 00 or 6D, something like that, but if you combine them all, it actually comes out as hex code. Now, hex, I'm sure, Rayrod, if you're watching this, you love a bit of hex. It's essentially like coding language. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about it, but it's to do with the internal side of No Man's Sky, and probably quite a lot of other games out there as well. I'd probably sound like a complete spastic right now, but all you need to know is that hex was a method used in Waking Titan before. People had to translate a lot of hex, and because it's the whole thing to do with the simulation and all of that, it's kind of lore friendly as well. But when you get this hex and you get this big fat paragraph of coding language and translate it, it reads the word mirror. Initially, we thought, okay, mirror, that's the password for the glyph. We tried it, didn't work. But what is also interesting, and then this is where it gets very speculation heavy, is that Myriad70, another website that is often associated with No Man's Sky, the ARG, Waking Titan, all of that stuff, has been updated to simply say 1.5 and a small string of hex code at the bottom. So again, translating this hex reveals the same answer, which is mirror. So essentially, mirror, the word, is a massive clue to the answer for the newest glyph. At least that's the only kind of association we can assign to it. Otherwise, it just doesn't seem to fit in anywhere. The word itself doesn't work, as I said. That's already been tried, but currently the community is still hard at work trying to figure out its significance. But yeah, that's just about all we have as of right now. Waking Titan has begun. Already we're being chucked in a deep end with quite a lot of little puzzles, everything like that. I will try and keep you updated as much as possible, but if you followed me during 1.3 or the build up to 1.3 with Waking Titan, you know that I always get a bit lost with it. But yeah, that's basically all we have for today's video. If this helped or you found it interesting, you enjoyed it, whatever, then please do feel free to show your support on the video by dropping it a like. And of course, if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.